Greetings, it is I, Susie Q. Here with another short tutorial. I don't know if it's going to be short or long. Today I've got a subject matter. We're going to talk about, I'm going to just read it here, spontaneous awareness of guest across time and space. Spontaneous awareness of guest or beings or spirit across all time and space. So it's really interesting when we look at that idea of connecting with spirit or having some sort of a relationship with something that is surrounding you, that it's like maybe some people can see perfect vision. Mine is more of an energy that I'm able to perceive. So that's kind of interesting. Some people, like I said, can have it and kind of see it in full form, like some sort of like a holographic body or a subtle body. So when we look at this idea, of this connection. Let me just read it again. This is like a big subject. Okay, so it's called Spontaneous Awareness of Guest Across All Time and Space. All right, so I can start when I was about 4 years old. And when I was in bed, I was very scared a lot of the time, right? So I was, even at that early age, a lot of the children, the little children, they're so sweet because they are so close to God or, close to source, is that they're able to perceive things and find friendships across the realms, right? The outer realms, right? And so these are really kind of neat things. But as we kind of grow up and we kind of mature and we kind of start adulting and stuff, right? Is that we kind of lose our way a little bit. But say, like I was 18. Married, had, another child. I had a baby at 18. I had a son at 22. And so I was very, very busy with all that, right? So, but I was still was interesting with that connection with spirit is I know that I was reading all of these really neat books, even books that I would even read right now, but I wasn't really looking at it from a way that could help me. I just loved the stories. I loved all the beautiful qualities of some of these really enriching and amazing books. And so I think what happened with a lot of this energy is that sometimes we don't know how to articulate experiences that we're having, especially as little, 4-year-old Susie. She had some uncanny experiences in a different kind of way of being. But sometimes families are able to talk about these things, and sometimes it's never spoken, right? And so for me, some of the things that I was experiencing with a lot of energies, it just didn't feel like I could talk to anybody. I just didn't even think it would be something to share, right? And it wasn't that I was hiding it or anything, but it was just something that I knew was kind of just for me, I guess. But I was little. I didn't know that we could even talk about it with family. So kind of going forward is that we start looking at some of these other qualities. And even when I'm on an airplane, or usually if I'm on an airplane or on a trip, people will come up to me and start telling me things that they've never told anybody else. Now, I'm not over there saying, "Hey, look at me. Like I'm going to do this for you." I'm just like sitting there, right? But people feel very comfortable sharing some of their insights, and they'll even say the same thing that I just said, is I never told anybody when I was young, right? And it wasn't anything bad. It was kind of scary in a way because, it was just different. It was just really, really different. So I can say. Some people say, "Were you abducted or something?" Or, and I don't know. I just think that I was able to perceive things, and then eventually I might wake up a little bit more and go I kind of would get scared or something. But moving forward, as I've been, working with the energies, so the energies have always been with me, even though I was busy with the kids and putting kids through college and, all this stuff. And then being a grandmother, there was just all kinds of things there. But when we really look at it, when I was able to kind of step away from empty nesting, I was an early empty nester. And then I started to get more insights and more senses of awareness. So even back, probably not when the kids were little, it probably wasn't really showing up very much. But when I moved to Austin, was in the Houston area, and I moved to Austin, I started getting that kind of peripheral view, and I could perceive that where energies were there, right? And I think some of my family members also share some of these qualities, right? And nobody really wants to talk about it because it's like woo woo, you know. But then that peripheral energy is kind of where it really kind of started for me. And so moving forward a little bit, so I was able to perceive the energies and not, I'd never really spoke about it or anything. And then eventually, when I moved back to Houston, like in 2012, 2013, somewhere around there, is that I just started having a little bit too much energy in my space, right? Little bit too much energy, meaning that when a new energy would come in, it would be a huge swish of energy. So I could not see any kind of form, but those swishes of energy. And eventually I would kind of look at it and go, like, this room is packed with these different beings here. And nobody's being a stinker. I'm not a stinker, and they're not being stinkers, whatever these energies are. But I just started noticing that I kind of don't like doing it anymore. I was doing it since I was probably about 4 years old, right? And so when we look at it, with these energies that are in the space, at one point in that 2015 with my Kundalini awakening, I basically just had to kind of just start claiming my space, right? And so nothing was harmful about the energies. It just was distracting. It was super distracting me, as because that was it would be like the door open and shut and this big sense of wind or air or that thing was showing up. And so finally, probably at the end of 2015, I decided to go ahead and just ask the energies not to come to my bedroom. And that worked. And so after it worked for a little bit, I kind of realized I don't think I want to do this anymore. I've been doing it like my whole life, you know? And so back then, I would always kind of, do mantras and do all kinds of different other expressions to assist them to leave. And then ultimately I just said, it's safe, go to the light. It's safe, go to the light. And then eventually I just said, no more spirits in my personal space. And what was fascinating with that too is that at a certain point, once I was able to kind of just not cast them out, but just remind them that I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not, I'm not doing it anymore. So then, even when that happened, when all the energies left, then I could feel their energies outside of the door, outside of the window. And eventually it took about maybe 6 months or maybe 6 to 8 months for all of the energies to just dissipate. They just were not in my field anymore. And so when we look at this idea, let me see what I'm reading. It's all about spontaneous awareness of guest across time and space. And so I know a lot of people that have this as well. And it's not a bad thing to have, these kind of these other energies. It just, for me, it was a packed house. But then I had the discernment that whatever I have done in this lifetime since the age of 4, I just feel like I have retired from that and I'm focusing on other things. And so for you, or for maybe your children, or maybe your grandchildren, or your future children, or your future life, right? Is that we have opportunities to make choices. And even like with a lot of the children, they have little spirit friends. I'm pretty sure I had that as well, is that we get to access some beautiful qualities from spirit when we're real little, right? And then we kind of forget about it, right? And so a lot of times when the kids come in, they have memories, of different times and places that they had lived in. So it's really, really powerful. But I'd like to just let you know, if you're experiencing uncanny, strange, wonderful, or strange, just creepy, that you have the ability and the capacity to make a choice. Is this something that you want to do? Is it something that you're ready to release? And so for me, I had to release it. But I still get lots and lots of connection with spirit. So I think that's all I have to share today. But when we just notice what you're noticing, and noticing if it feels right for you. If it feels right for you to have these energies around you, and if it feels good for you, then that's perfect. For me, I was just like, I'm burnt out, people. I've sent so many to the light and so many to other galaxies and to brand new kind of planetary experiences. I've just tapped out. So I'm working with other energies right now. So it's been really super fun sharing this with you today. And so if you'd love to have a conversation with me about your connection with spirit, or how you can kind of create a better environment that matches your your spiritual nature now, right? Because maybe it was from the past that it was real important, but now we can kind of assist you with being able to release that consciousness and go into a whole new, vortex or whole new portal of possibility. There's so much. So as we decide and discern this is right for me now, and I'm going to let this one go for now, then a new portal opens up, and then that's where all that beautiful energy is going. It's going to be helping us as in our experience with our body, with our relationships, and with our ability to create more abundance. So, sending you so much love and namaste.